Hello and welcome to Friday's Masterclass edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm going to attempt today's Times Cryptic crossword live on camera. This is a series that Mark and I have been doing for over a year now. It's a lot of fun. We really enjoy these videos. Let's have a quick look. I'm recording this a bit later than I should be today. So I haven't looked at the snitch. Oh, there's Mark. Mark is Mark Goodliffe, Magoo, 6:49. So that's slightly slower than an average Magoo time. So it's probably slightly harder than average, this puzzle. John McCabe in there with 4:33, which is a ridiculous time for any Times crossword, let alone one that takes Mark nearly 7 minutes. Let's have a look a bit further down the list, see if we can see any other names we recognise. Yeah, looking at the names here, I'm saying this is just slightly harder than average. So not monstrous, but we will see how we do. Have I got my dictionary ready? I've got a dictionary, it's not in the right place. There we go. I've got the dictionary in case we need that. And that is all there is to say. No birthdays to do today in the crossword video. So we'll simply say, let's get cracking and have a look at the puzzle. Here we go. Is it worked? Looks like it's good. Okay. Late reply, disappointing Oliver. It must be something to do with Oliver Twist. No more or something. Late reply. It's something, I'm sure it's to do with Oliver Twist and Oliver Twist asking for more. No, late reply. I don't know. I think it might be something more. Should we have a look at? Well, let's look at one down first. Replacement for one off their trolley, possibly, including second announcer. Well, let me tell you that is a clue that I simply find terrifying. I read that clue. I have no idea really what it's talking about, and therefore I would move swiftly on, and I will now. Study features at college. Okay. Okay, I have got this one. So it sort of confirms more for me as well. As usual, with all of these cryptic crossword clues, there's always a quick crossword definition in the clue. And your job, if you're solving these clues, is to find that definition. And it's almost always at the start or the end of the clue. So what we have to learn to do is to split the clue up into the part of it that's the definition and the part of it that's the wordplay. And there are lots of little hints that we can get as to which bit of the clue is likely to be wordplay. And if you see at college or at university, then colloquially one's referred to as being up at university, as in, and you may have heard the expression being sent down. Now, if you're sent down from university, you are expelled from university. So up and down relate to whether you're at university or not at university. So if you're at college, you're almost certainly up. And that also has the advantage of confirming that probably the definition here is the other side of the clue, the word study. So can we think of a phrase that means study, that's something up? Well, I thought of mug up. You mug up, you study. And your features is your face. And again, a sort of euphemism for your face is your mug. So this does look like, it looks like no more, but I don't understand. Oh, now I do. Okay, I should take my own advice. So when I read this clue, I split it in my brain in the wrong place. So I thought late reply was the definition. And then I was thinking disappointing Oliver, no more. But actually, if we split it slightly differently, if we split it after the word late, and then reply disappointing Oliver, well, a reply disappointing Oliver, please sir, can I have some more? Catch him, scratch him, trounce him, bounce him, damn, pick him up and bounce him. Wait, before I take the lad to task, may I be so curious as to ask his name? Oliver, never before has a boy wanted to. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Yes, okay, so but a reply that would have disappointed Oliver is no more. There is no more for you to eat. And if we think about that in the context of somebody being late rather than over time, if somebody is late, they are dead. They are no more. Sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry that took so long to pass, but now at least we're off and running. We're not returning to 1 down. We're going to have a look at 3 down. Favour. Old person like me cycling. Favour. Old person like me. A favour is a... beginning with R. I have no idea what that is. Okay, let's try 10 across. Undertakes large welcome for one needing work. Large welcome. I haven't got this. I mean, large is probably L. We've seen that over the last few weeks. When you see small, it's probably S. And this is from clothing labels. If you see an L on a clothing label, you know it meant large. So a welcome, if you say hi to somebody, you welcome them. Ave, from Latin, it would be a greeting. So I'm sort of trying to think about things like that, but I'm not doing very well. And there's a G in here as well. For one could be EG, but needing undertakes. I don't know. Okay, we're going to have to go back to this. Replacement for one. Off their trolley. Or for one, one off their trolley might be a nutcase or something, or a nutter. Replacement. Including second announcer. Narrator? I don't know. Okay, let's try 12 across. Paris, accepting blame ultimately for artist's murder perhaps. What? Paris is a capital city. Oh, capital crime or capital offence then. So Paris... it's something like that. Paris is a capital, so I like that as the start. Capital. Let's put offence in and just see if we can justify that. Accepting blame ultimately. The ultimate letter in the word blame is E. For artists. Oh, that's no. It's something like this. It's capital of France. Oh, that is a brilliant clue. My goodness me. Well, that is absolutely brilliant. Okay, I'll forgive myself for not understanding this quickly. So I could see that Paris was a capital city, which is why I put capital first as the answer. But I didn't understand the rest of this at all until I've just got it. Paris is actually the capital of France. So imagine we wrote capital of France out. Now, that expression, capital of France, accepts blame ultimately, which is this E, for, so instead of RA, which is a valid abbreviation for artist. It comes up all the time. So what we do is we substitute E for RA, and that gives us capital offence rather than capital of France, and the murder is a capital offence. Now, what we have to do to justify this is explain why RA is an artist, and it's from Royal Academician. So a member of the Royal Academy is considered to be an artist in the world of cryptic crosswords. It has ever been thus. I don't know if it'll actually have it in here. No, it doesn't seem to. It has Royal Academy and Academy of Fine Arts. So I suppose a member of the Royal Academy is an artist. Must be the thinking behind this, but it's part of crossword lore. Very, very useful to know. It will come up a lot if you get into these puzzles. Now we've got an F in 5 down. Strongbox, not closing after chaps put in bundle. Sheaf? Yes. Okay, so the way I've got that is by thinking, can I think of a 5-letter word ending in F that either means strongbox, I immediately thought coffin, which was wrong, or bundle. And I thought a bundle could be a sheaf. And then it's a case of, well, okay, can I justify that? And I can. Because a strong box not closing is a safe, S-A-F-E. And if that word doesn't close, it doesn't have its last letter. And that needs to, so we have S-A-F after chaps put in. So we take the string of letters S-A-F and we put he for a chap in the middle. The sort of male pronoun, and that gives sheaf, which is describing a bundle. I mean, yeah, I can totally understand if you think that's bonkers if you've never seen these clues before, but actually, once I have the F here, that's a relatively approachable clue. Let's try this one. American, is that going to be US at the start? Eagle, acquiring American identifier, username, I'm thinking. That's right, isn't it? That's another very nice clue. So we've got US for American. Earn is a type of eagle. I think it's a sea eagle. Let's actually have a look at that. Earn. An eagle, especially the sea eagle. And that has AM, which is another valid abbreviation for Americans. We've got US for American and AM, which is also an abbreviation for American. You can't just, I say this every week, but it bears repeating. You can't just take a word in a crossword clue and abbreviate it to its first couple of letters and say that's good enough. It has to be supported by the dictionary. And if I type in AM here, we will hopefully I won't be disproved here. There, AM dot amateur America American, and that is why American there can be AM in the clue. It's not because it begins with AM, it's supported by the dictionary. That is the crucial thing. Let's try 6 down. Philosopher, to take stock of dictator. Okay, I haven't got this, but the way I'm reading the clue is that we're looking for the name, possibly the proper name of a philosopher like Socrates or something. And then there's going to be a word which means to take stock of, or to take stock. Oh, Russell. Oh, it's his Russell. It's Bertrand Russell. Okay, because I suddenly thought I do know a synonym for to take stock as in to take cattle. Russell, R-U-S-T-L-E. And the of dictator here is saying it's a homophone. So it's not saying we need to think of a famous dictator from history, and the philosopher is sort of appraising the dictator. No, somebody who dictates is speaking. And if you hear somebody speaking, what you heard, somebody Russell, you might think they were taking stock, but it could also be Bertrand Russell, spelt like that. So it's a homophone for Russell, R-U-S-T-L-E. We hear it, but it's spelt differently. Let's try 11 across. Beat it, scram, I'm thinking. Beat it as in to run away. Yeah, I mean, small, S, we've already talked about that. Clubs is C, and that's from bridge notation. If you've played the card game Bridge, your 1C, for example, would mean one club. And if you hammer something, you ram it. So scram is going to be the answer there. Now, 7 down. Article that has trashed RUC is too shocking. This is some sort, I haven't understood this yet, but it's some sort of anagram. Because we're trashing RUC. I mean, that's... I can't quite get the anagram fodder to work. Article that has trashed RUC is too shocking. Atrocious. But why? Oh, I see. No, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so article. If you see article in a cryptic crossword, it almost always means an article of speech. Like the indefinite article is the letter A or an. The definite article is the word the. So it's going to mean very likely one of those things. So let's say in this example, could it just be A? which is this A here. And that has with it trashed, i.e. anagrammed, RUC is and to. That's 8 letters. And if we anagram those letters appropriately, we can create atrocious, which means shocking. So that's going to work there. Now this is Emma, presumably. Oh no, elms maybe. Steers away from horse, making for trees. Okay, well trees are elms. So again, we found the definition. This time it's at the end of the clue. And steers, I think, is helms. If you steer a boat, you must helm it. I mean, a helm to me would be the place you do the steering from, but I bet you if we look up helm, it will be a verb to steer. And that's away from horse, which can be H, believe it or not. So we need to do some looking up to justify all this. I'm not changing the answer, so I'm happy to do it. So let's look at helm. Yeah, there we go. Verb, transitive verb to steer. And then if we look up H, we should find horse, which I think is a reference to heroin, actually, but I might be wrong. Oh, okay, hang on, I'm not finding it now. That's bad, isn't it? Where is it? I can't see it. Am I just missing it here? I mean, horse, actually, it's an interesting one. Because horse can definitely, I think it can be HO. Let's just check I'm not going completely mad. Oh, see, I am. Maybe I am. Okay, that's interesting. So perhaps the way we have to read this clue steers away from horse. Maybe we have to know that horse is a synonym for heroin, and then we're taking the abbreviation for heroin away from the word for steers. So let's just look at that. Horse is heroin. There it is there. And I think under H, I did see heroin here. So that's slightly indirect. I mean, it's tricky. It's very tricky, actually. Difficult clue, but perhaps not difficult once you have the letters in, the E and the M. But until that point, yeah, that's tough. Let's try 9 down. Port originally consumed by a storyteller. Okay, well, let's stop there and think about how we could read that clue in a cryptic way. So if I don't know this is the wordplay, but if it was the wordplay, how could that work? Port originally, what might that mean? Well, to me, that's saying take the original letter of the word port, its first letter, P. And that's consumed, so it's inside, a storyteller. Well, I'm thinking words like narrator, therefore, but this A is interesting to me. Because why is that A in the clue? If this clue was written port originally consumed by storyteller in private, it would mean exactly the same thing as port originally consumed by a storyteller in private. So that A is doing some sort of duty in the wordplay, and I presume, therefore, this clue begins with A, because the port originally is being consumed by A and storyteller. I'm wondering if it's liar for a storyteller, somebody who tells fibs. But that wouldn't really work with my idea that this was P in private. I'm afraid. Okay, I don't know what that is, which is renders all of those comments slightly otiose. But anyway, let's try 14 across. Squash, item to consistently overlook or miss. Well, okay, there's this that we can do. So, if you see phrases in cryptic crosswords like consistently overlook, or taken regularly, or unevenly, then what often the constructor is trying to get you to do is to look at the regularly occurring letters within a string. So let's look at the words squash and item together. Now, if we take only the odd-numbered letters in that string, we would get S-U-S-I-E, Susie. And Susie is a girl's name, or a miss. So that's the answer. So we have to consistently overlook the even letters in the string in order to extract the answer. Now, what was this one? Oh, this was the favour, rosette. Yeah, that's lovely. Yes, rosette. So a rosette is a favour, as in sort of something you're awarded. You may have... It's a slightly odd one, but I think... The way I think of favours, and this might be completely wrong, but if you imagine Game of Thrones after a joust, and somebody would go to the princess and be given a favour, sort of an award. So let's actually see if that's supported by the dictionary. It might not be, but that's how I think of it. A knot of ribbons, well, no. A thing given or worn as a token of favour, especially historical. So I'm not that... I think my princess... My allusion to a princess giving something to a famous knight is not a million miles away. And how does the rest of it, how does the wordplay work? Well, old can be abbreviated to O. And a person like me, the person who set the puzzle, who wrote this clue, is a setter, S-E-T-T-E-R. And if that word setter cycles, the R might return to the start. So old setter, O setter, cycles round, and the R returns to the start. And we get rosette, which is going to be obviously the answer. So undertakes, large welcome for one needing work. For one needing work. Undertakes. I don't know. Let's try this one. Replacement. Oh, this is this nutcase one. Second announcer. Don't know. Let's try. We've got an S at the start of this one. Cow to stand in entrance to field, half just inside. I don't know what this is, but again, what I'm always trying to do when I read these clues is to identify as quickly as I can which side of the clue is giving me the straightforward definition. Now, if there are any words in a clue that are indicating the positions of things, they're almost certainly wordplay. So the word inside, if I have a string of letters and I put something inside that string of letters, that's clearly going to be wordplay, isn't it? So I'd be very shocked if this clue doesn't mean cow or cow to stand. I mean, cow to stand hasn't got a synonym, so it probably means cow, which could be a breed of cow. Can't think of any breeds of cow immediately. I was thinking it's Shropshire a type of cow, but it probably isn't. But cow, you can subdue somebody. You can sort of awe them, can't you? To stand in entrance to field. Half just inside. So it feels like we have to put half of the word just inside something. So it's either going to have J-U or S-T in it, I think. But I don't know it. So have we looked at... Oh, we looked at that one. Let's try 16. One had on the first Apollo short fire tragically. Okay. So I think when you see such extreme words like tragically, we need to be thinking about anagrams. Because if we treat a string of letters tragically, we would be, they'd be all over the place. Now, how do we get 9 letters then? We need 9 letters to anagram. Well, Apollo is 6 letters. And if we shorten the word, well, this short could apply to the word fire or the word Apollo, actually. So we could be looking at Apol fire, or we could be looking at Apollo fur. And we're going to anagram those. And then the implication of that would be we're looking for a phrase that means one had on the first. One had on the first. Oh, April Fool. That's lovely. That's another very clever clue, very clever definition. April Fool. So again, that was simply an exercise in can we read the clue properly. Once we read the clue properly, the answer sort of dropped out. So was it... no, so there's no E in this. So it was. We were shortening the word fire. Now we've got an L in this one. A boy my lord ordered. Well, what does ordered mean? It means to order. I mean... slight truism, but a boy my lord, that looks like anagram fodder to me. So I think those are the 10 letters we're going to order to bring a drink. Okay, so we need a drink, which is a Bloody Mary. That's right. Okay, there we go. That was a relatively straightforward one. We get an O at the end of 20 across. Mess up having altered central feature of spook's function. God. Mess up having altered central feature of spook's function. I don't know. I mean, when I see the word function, my mind goes to mathematical functions, but I don't think that's right. I think it's more likely to be a function as in a party. And the word I've come up with is disco, and I'm trying to work out why disco could be the answer. I'm thinking, is this a shortened word for something like discombobulate or something? Mess up, having altered central features of spooks. Mess up, having altered central feature of spooks. I don't understand why this is right, so I'm taking it out. But I could well believe that disco is the answer here, but I'm not clever enough yet to figure out why. Let's try 17 down. Busy time in games, doubly hard for us. Busy. If you're busy, you're run ragged, you're time in game, doubly hard for us. Right. Goodness me. This is again, it's a very good clue. A busy time. What's a busy time of day, especially on the if you're going out into traffic? Well, the answer is rush hour. Now, you can see that's got 2 H's in it, which are interesting in the context of doubly hard, because H, we saw this earlier if you were looking, where I definitely saw it. Now I can't find it. Where is it? Hard. It's a valid abbreviation. Hard, there it is, on lead pencils, H. So doubly hard is HH. That's this double H. If something is for us, it's our. And what's this start then? Busy. So get in games apostrophe. Why on earth is that RUS? And this is where I have a lot of sympathy for people who are new to cryptic crosswords, because even if you understood and you were very confident about H hour, and even if you were very confident about rush hour therefore being the answer, you may never understand RUS being game apostrophe S. The apostrophe S is this S here. So that's part of it. And that means RU needs to be a game. And it is, because if you look up RU in the dictionary, you will find rugby union, which is a game. Rugby union. It's also the Republic of Burundi. But in this instance, it's rugby union. Maverick is about to fly past. So very tricky if you're new to the puzzles. Now what's this? Something harmony? Where work is not coming to a stop. Yes and no. Where work is not coming to a stop. Something history? Something harm? I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. Let's try 18. Okay, I've not read the whole clue, but I've seen the words bias and seams, and to me they don't look right. I don't know why, and the more cryptic crosswords you do, the more likely you will be to notice things like this. But bias seems just feels to me like an anagram. And then I see to corrupt. So that's confirming we're anagramming bias seems. Okay, missions. What are missions? Missions are embassies. That is one of the meanings. So that's going to be good. Now, is this subdue then? To cow. To stand. Oh, to stand in is to substitute or sub, presumably. Entrance to field could be the entrance letter to the word field, F. Half just inside. Sub. No, I'm wrong. An entrance to a field is a gate. And if I put half of just in that, I get subjugate, which is to cow. Now, okay, that's interesting. We have a J in this crossword. Whenever you get a J in a cryptic puzzle, think about pangrams. Think about, does this constructor want to create a puzzle that features every letter of the alphabet? Because normal crosswords don't tend to have J's in them. So I'm immediately now wondering whether I should be on the lookout for Q's and Z's. I haven't got any X's, but J is suspicious to me. Let's try this one. 19 down. Who knows when protests are rising? Indeed. Who knows when protests are rising? Indeed. Something like some. Who knows when? Someday. Cool. Okay, so the way I've got this is fortune, frankly. Protests. In cryptic crosswords, there are two sort of short synonyms that tend to come up for protests. Sit-ins is one of them. The other is demos, as in demonstrations. So when I saw protests uprising, my brain was thinking, can I reverse demos? And I could sense that that had some at the start of it. But I was like, why is who knows someday? It didn't feel right. But if I cut it properly, who knows when, that is defining someday, isn't it? And that's much better, because indeed means yes. And A-Y, I don't even know how to say it. I, is it? As in the eyes have it. But A-Y is certainly an expression which means yes. I think it'll refer us to A-Y-E. C-A-Y-E. There we go. Yes, indeed. So this is knowledge of the dictionary that's hard won over the years. So let's go back to this one. 21. Where work is not coming to a stop. Yes and no. I don't know what that is. Let's try 24 down. Priest caught removing clothing. Okay, well, this is one of these strange crossword words that comes up remarkably frequently, given how often it's not used in real life. And that word, we're looking for a word for a priest. But do not worry if you do not know this word, because I only know it from crosswords, and it is abbé. And an abbé, I think, is a French priest. Let's go and have a look. Here we go. There we go. In France, a courtesy title for a priest. So how does this relate to the wordplay? Well, caught is nabbed, and that removes its clothing. Now, if words remove their clothing, constructors like to think of the word as removing its sort of skin, its outside letters, the clothes it wears, so its first letter and its last letter, and that gives abbé. And again, brutal, unless you've seen the word abbé before and you're used to the devious minds of these constructors. 25 across. Cried like a kid. Well, a kid is a goat, so I want this to be something to do with bleating. Ill, having swallowed a tablet. Cried bard, then. As in, could it be that? I mean, it's a strange word. I think that's right. Because I think if you're ill, you're bad, B-A-D, and that swallows A, which is this A, and a tablet, which is E, as in ecstasy, a tab of ecstasy. And the word bard is a sound that a kid, as in a small goat, might make. Difficult. What's this, every man or every day? All maintenance, very onerous, not all. Okay, well, I always say there's normally one of these in every cryptic crossword. You've got to be on the lookout for them, and when you first start to do the puzzle, this will be the clue that you look for the most vociferously, because it's the one that you can always be sure is right, and it's a hidden answer. So within this clue, the answer is actually spelt out. Now the constructor has to tell you that the answer is hidden in the clue, and here that's the words "not all." That's saying take the string of letters, maintenance very onerous, and don't take all of those letters, just take some of them. And if you do that, you can see spelt out EVERYONE, everyone. And therefore the definition needs to be the other word in the clue, which is the word all, and of course all does mean everyone. So not too difficult once we know how to read the clue correctly. Let's try 22, which we're going to really need to get this one. Material, academic, omitted from transatlantic flight itinerary. Oh, goodness me. Material, denim? No. It's going to be the name of a fabric, this. Academic could be a don or a professor. Omitted from transatlantic flight itinerary. Is that going to be something like, I don't know, Gatwick to New York or Newark? I don't know what this is talking about. Let's try this one. Nylon. That's it. New York to London. I was sort of on the right lines. So academic, omitted. Well, okay. I mean, if you're going to omit the Don from London, you've omitted the EW and the org from New York. So that's a bit. I suppose that's probably fair enough. NY is so synonymous with New York, whereas Lon is not probably synonymous with London. But when you're talking about a flight itinerary, I would argue that Lon is absolutely what you'd expect to see. So whether you really need to remove the academic, the Don, from London to understand how the clue works, I think is debatable. This is going to be Louisiana, isn't it? But NY, nylon, obviously being the material. So let's have a look at this one. State. Yeah, I'm going to go for Louisiana. Where in the Vosges, how do you say that? Vosges? One's intercepting climber. Liana is a type of climbing plant. Where? Yeah, where in French is ou, O-U. So where in Vosges is O-U. One's is I-S. One can be I in language and even in Roman numerals. S is the apostrophe S here. And liana, let's look up liana. It's some sort of climber. It's not ivy, but it's like it, I think. Any climbing plant, especially a twisted woody kind, festooning tropical forests. Isn't that lovely? So Louisiana is the answer there. Now what's this then? Does this end in ing? Where work is not coming to a stop. I want this to be something to do with railways for some reason. I don't know. Sorry. I feel like I'm being a bit daft there. Let's try that one. Wimp draws naval officer doing handstand. Wimp. I mean, what is this talking about? And if a naval officer does a handstand, does that imply that it's an upside down? So is it a reversal? So a naval officer, what's that going to be? A petty officer? Is that a naval officer? I'm very bad at all all types of Army, Navy, Air Force ranks. I mean, I know the names of some of them, but I don't know the abbreviations very well, or I don't feel like I do. A naval officer, an admiral, an easy, as in a midshipman, I think is sometimes called an easy. That's probably not an officer, I don't know. And then drawers, ties, wimp. I think this is going to be in the name of a wimp, but I don't know it. Let's try this one. Bats on regardless, ultimately inconsistent. Bats on, stays in. Inconsistent. If you're inconsistent, you're iffy. I don't know this one either. Bobbins. Right, 23 down. Delivered letter promoting area. Right. If you see letter in a cryptic crossword clue, be aware that there are letters in other alphabets other than sort of the one we use to solve these puzzles that often have names. So I was thinking Greek alphabet. And what about delta? If I promote the A in the word delta, then I would get dealt, and that means delivered. If you deliver something, you deal it. So I really like that as an answer. A can be area. Let's check to show you that that is valid. There it is, there. So that's going to be... Oh, this is Busman's Holiday then. Sorry, I've just suddenly realised what that is. It fits. Busman's Holiday. So that's... Where work... Okay, so where work is not coming to a stop. Yes and no. Obviously, Busman's Holidays would be like, I don't know, if somebody who was a train driver went train spotting on holiday. That might be a busman's holiday. Is that a good example? Maybe it's not, but that could be an example. So your work is not... You are on holiday, but your work's not really coming to a stop. So that is sort of a cryptic definition. That's what the yes and no is indicating there. Now, what was this? Oh, this was the wimp. Drawers. Wimp. If this was disco, this would be a D. Wimp. I don't really like that actually. Maybe disco is wrong. Mess up, having altered. Central feature of spooks. See the central... Oh, hang on. Have I miscounted the number of letters in the word? No, I haven't. Well, spooks with the apostrophe there is a 6-letter word. So the central feature of the word spooks with the apostrophe there is double O. It's not single O. Well, I don't think it is anyway. Central feature of spooks. Mess up. And what was this one? Bats on, or the phone... sorry, the door's just rung, but hopefully I won't have to run down. Bats on regardless, ultimately inconsistent. If something's inconsistent, it's sort of mercurial. It's bitty. Bats on. If you bat your eyelashes, not your eyebrows, you bat your eyelashes, what do? You sort of, I don't know. Bats on regardless. Ultimately inconsistent. Oh, sorry. There's now a fly buzzing around, so I'm going to get distracted. Okay, so look, we're not doing very well. Let's go back. Oh, newscaster would fit there. That's an announcer. Okay, let's go for newscaster and then try and understand why. Replacement for one off their trolley. Possibly. including second. Well, that's going to be that S. New replacement for one off their trolley. New. I'm trying to think of new. Oh, okay. Do you get a caster on a trolley, actually? Isn't a caster like a wheel? Yeah, okay. So, right. So the S that we need is this S. It's a new caster. If caster can be a trolley wheel, then a replacement for one off their trolley is a new caster that contains S for second, and that would give newscaster, which is an announcement. I mean, that's very hard. And then 10 across is wage something, is it? Wages to undertake. Wage. Wages. Large. Welcome. Wage slave. Gosh, I was right with Ave. I can't believe it. So large was L. Ave for a welcome, as in Latin, a Latin greeting. Ave Maria. There we go. Ave atque vale. Famous, very famous crossword. Hail and farewell. By the great John Grimshaw back in the day. Gosh, that's made me think. Ave atque vale. Yeah, that's takes me back. Sorry, large welcome for one needing work. One needing work is a wage slave. So what's this then? Oh, port. Maybe it's the name of a port. Originally consumed by a storyteller. In private. But a private couldn't be a GI, could it? As in a G.I. Joe. And if it was, how would that help us? Originally consumed. Originally consumed could be Cagliari or something. It is. God, wow. Okay, Cagliari. I think that is a place. Probably in Italy, but I don't know. So, let's assume it's a place. Originally consumed is C. That goes by the letter A. That's that A. And then storyteller is liar. And that is in private in a GI, as in a G.I. Joe. Or G.I. Is it G.I. Jane as well? A private being a soldier. So Cagliari, I think, is right there. That's very, very hard indeed. Now we're left with trying to work out what, if we can get 20 down, I think we'll be in good shape. So, Wimp draws naval officer doing handstand. I mean, the doing handstand bit makes me think we have to reverse the name of a naval officer. And possibly the draws as well. So, I've got it. If you draw something, you milk it, don't you? And a milksop, so it is petty officer. So draws, milks, PO for petty officer. Now let's look up petty officer. Will it actually tell us? Oh, it could be pilot officer, actually. I think it'll be petty officer. Oh, maybe petty officer won't be listed as a separate entry. Petty officer, there it is. Right, where? Petty officer. It is a naval officer. Ranking with a non-commissioned officer in the army. I don't know what... NCO, I know, is a non-commissioned officer, but I never know what commissioning means in the context of armies. But anyway, okay, so disco was totally wrong, wasn't it? Misdo? Mess up, misdo. Having altered central feature of spook's function. MI5? MI5 do? Yes, I like that. I mean, that's very hard. That is very hard. MI5 is one of the security services. somewhere that might employ a spook. So mi5 do would be a spook's function. If we alter the central feature, the central letter of mi5 do, and we alter the 5 to an S, we could get misdo, which means to mess up. I think that's hard. So is this spotty then? Bats on regardless, ultimately. Yes, it is. Because bats, if you are bats, you are nutty, you are potty. And that goes on regardless, ultimately. The ultimate letter of the word regardless, which is S. S plus potty gives spotty, and if your performance is spotty, it is inconsistent. So I think that's right. That was very interesting. What a very good puzzle. I'll submit without leaderboard because I wasn't racing, and we got it right. There we go. Wasn't that fun? Yeah, I thought that. I do think that if you're a newcomer to these puzzles, that would be brutal. That would be brutal. There's so much stuff going on there, and so much crossword ease that you need to be familiar with to really. I mean, you could never solve misdo, or really be sure you'd understood it if you've never seen it before. I mean, even words like abbe, just difficult, really difficult. Wage slave was really difficult. Capital of France, capital offence it's very clever. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of clever stuff going on, but it's not easy. But some of you enjoy when I race on the quick cryptic, so I will have a quick go at that, hopefully a quick go at that. This is the one where I will try and submit my time, so I'm not going to speak much, I'm just going to go for it. Let's get cracking, come on. We have got, right, nervous eye change, holiday perch, souvenir. That's an anagram. Japanese drum. Noah is a boatman. No. Leave and need regularly to have escaped. Don't know. Beat poet. Don't know. Antelope hung back. It's GNU, isn't it? Or new. Born rascal that goes on foot. Brogue is the answer there. Place is in perfect shade. Oh, I should get that. Don't. Result is an anagram. Flag officer once. Ensign? Maybe? Oh, that might be wrong. Memory, rocky at first, in the morning. Ram. Female competent, fable. Change into suit. Don't know. There's a load of storm going on outside. Mia, shedding outside lair, initially making a defender, no idea. Study, converse. Old poet, in pandemic, losing head. Ovid, COVID. On edge, nervous. Support for one in litter, prop up, pro pup. That's how that works. Asks how paper may be folded. Increase, oh no, something like increases. Ask, oh, inquires. Face up, laid, dial reversed, I think. Complained, malingering, grumbled. Connective tissue, mangle it when injured. Oh, that's an anagram, and the answer is no, naughty Simon. Fish, trench, tench. Can't type now either. Raise me up above manid. Raise to M power or something. Emboss. Gosh, that's difficult. Handle, fine, feel. With which to shoot. Horse. Don't know. Okay, so what have we got here? Evaded, I think. Yeah, that's okay. Pound, Ezra Pound making an appearance. Place is in perfect shade. Purple. Pure with PL in it. Gosh, that's tricky. Change into suit. Become. Something becomes you, it suits you. Shedding outside lair. Initially making a defense. Castling. With which to shoot. Horse. Oh, I don't know. Colt. Gun. Okay. And what's this one? Ligament. Ligament. There we go. Okay, hopefully that's right. I didn't really check. Mangle it. Yeah, okay, that's right. So 11th out of 183 with a bit of burbling in the background. Let's have a look. How bad? Yeah, not happy with that. Not happy, but I suppose not absolutely dreadful. If you see this structure, by the way, of times puzzles, I always try and read the unches. So you can see this says coop. It doesn't spell anything today, but sometimes they do, and it's always quite fun if you discover that, the so-called Nina in the puzzle. Anyway, there we go. That's Friday's edition of first edition of Cracking the Cryptic, the first of 3 editions of Cracking the Cryptic. Do join us later for some Sudoku solving. Thank you for watching. If you do enjoy these crossword videos, please do drop a like in, or even subscribe. It's free to subscribe to YouTube channels. Help to teach the algorithm, or drop us a kind comment. All of those things are appreciated, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.